Okay, let's start with a price ceiling. Price ceiling. The thing you need to understand is that the equilibrium price is very efficient. It's also called the market clearing price, because at that point, let's say we have a demand curve, we have a supply curve, and at equilibrium, the quantity that comes off the demand curve is here, quantity demanded, and the quantity that comes off the supply curve is also the same, which means the amount people want to buy is exactly the amount that people want to sell at that price. So it's equilibrium, equilibrium and market clears. Market clearing price. Okay? Now, I never said that this was a moral price. Sometimes there's prices that are occurring from free markets, competition, and the price of bread is $2.03. Is that a moral price? No, there's no morals, but there's not anti-morals either. It's not amoral, well, it is amoral. It's not amoral in the sense that we talk about, this person has no morals, right? Well, prices aren't expected to have morals. They're just expected to be efficient and a good way to inform the populace or buyers and sellers that perhaps they need to shop elsewhere, or maybe they need to purchase this. For example, we don't need to know all the facts of what's happening in the world. Let's say some special cedar tree that clings to the Pacific coast cliffs has something in its bark that cures cancer. And so it's very, very much needed as a resource somewhere else. So we should probably find that wood or bark, if we're wanting to make, paper or something, would be too expensive to do something other than the precious thing. So if it's good for curing cancer and it's hard to find these special trees that only grow on the sides of cliffs, then those things will be expensive just by the natural supply and demand. So all we need to know is that the price is too high for us to make paper out of it. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a nice, efficient thing. It helps us to allocate resources, and that's the definition of economics, right? How to allocate rare resources amongst unlimited wants. And so we don't have to know these things. And one of the problems that we run into when we talk about command economies, let's put it that way. Command economies, one of the problems that we run into is that you have to know everything. In the absence of market prices being free to set that equilibrium price that is efficient, then you have to have perfect knowledge of everything and every resource, raw material price, all the way down through the chain of all the prices of all the resources, so that you can balance everything and not have something get out of balance and oversupplied, undersupplied. And another thing is quality. Something that is what consumers want to buy will be the thing that is sold, and other things won't be. But if consumers are not sovereign, and the prices aren't allowed to adjust, and markets aren't free, then how do you reward a manager of a factory in a command-controlled economy for producing the proper kind of glass? Now, I know this sounds funny, but glass and nails, and there were quite a few examples of this. Economists from the United States, from market countries, West Germany at the time, Great Britain, Japan, we went to Russia during the Soviet Union when they were practicing communism. And there would be a factory, and we would tour the factory. And basically, how you word the contract for the manager is what kind of glass you get. So if you say, we're going to reward you and give you a bonus based upon how much glass you produce, given the resources, what would happen was the manager would make sure that the glass was so super thin it almost broke the minute you touched it, so that it would spread further and, square footage, right? We're going to reward you on the square footage or square meters or however we're going to measure it. And so the manager creates glass, not that people would want to buy, but that will give the manager the bonus. So it was observed at one point that that was the kind of glass that was being produced. And then at a different point in time, different professors toured the same factory, and apparently the committee had decided to change the wording to be the amount of weight of the glass. We're going to reward you in pounds or kilos or whatever. So then what kind of glass do you think was produced? Well, heavy, thick glass that weighed a lot and you couldn't see through very well, and just, it fit into that window and it kind of weighed down the structure. And I'm only exaggerating a little bit. But it wasn't glass that you and I would purchase willingly. It was the glass that the manager produced to get the highest bonus, given the wording of the instructions from on high. Whereas a free market will produce what the consumer wants to buy. And it will do it efficiently with a market clearing price. An economist would say, if you don't think the price is moral, let the price adjust to this point. And then you decide how you want to vote to allow people to buy it are you following what I'm saying? To allow people to purchase this, you decide, are we going to have some sort of state funding, some sort of food stamps or whatever, but don't interfere with the markets. Whenever we do, we cause problems, and now we finally arrive at price ceiling, okay? Price ceiling is like a regular ceiling in a house. Let's say we're inside a house, there's the door, there's some windows, and something can go up to the ceiling, but it can't go past it, right? It can't go past the ceiling from inside the room, right? So a ceiling, when it is set, and it usually is set below equilibrium, is a legal control on the price, okay? So that's supposed to be a horizontal line, and of course it's got a little curve to it, but let's pretend it's a flat horizontal line. If we say ceiling, that means that it cannot go above. It can only go below, which means that it will get as close as it can to equilibrium, because the forces, remember, there's forces that push the price up to equilibrium, there's forces that push it down to equilibrium. So at the ceiling, we should find that there are going to be we're different quantities, and the market will not clear. Because here, this is the supply curve, so this will be the quantity supplied. And at that same price, which is as high as the price can get legally, because the government said, no, can't sell for more than that, it's immoral. And I'm making fun of that, but that's why people do it. They put ceilings on things because somehow it's not moral to charge a certain price, which I don't understand. I understand saying everybody should be able to afford to eat and things like that. But to suggest that there's any morality at all associated with this price is kind of silly. It's just a scientific, it's a result of laws. Law of demand, law of supply. So someone comes along and says, oh, that price is too high, let's have a ceiling so it can't get there. So what happens is the quantity supplied is here, and then at that same price, this is the demand curve here. So this is the quantity you would find from the behavior of those who buy. Now, when the quantity supplied is less than the amount people want, right? Quantity demanded is the amount people want, right? And quantity supplied is the amount people want to sell. When that's less, we have a gap here, and this is a shortage. In other words, the suppliers are saying that price is too low, we're only going to supply this much. And at that price, there are people that are saying, wow, that price is low compared to this standard of the free market. We want more of it. And so basically the suppliers are moving this way and the demanders are moving this way, and you get this shortage because we initiated the price ceiling. Now I'm going to run and get a soda, so I'm going to pause this a moment. My mouth is getting dry, so I'll be back.